Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Friends in Recovery Podcast. I'm Jersey Ed, along here with
New Time with Sky.
New Time with Sky. Yes, that's it. Well, welcome back to the show, Sky. And I told everybody we're going to have some new surprises coming in a new season. And this is one of them. Skyler is one of our surprises, and we got a couple new things going on. Our Facebook pages are still going, of course. Our Instagram's still going.
Adventures
are still going. Yeah, the adventures are still going. This is the big thing I'm excited about. We're getting a Friends in Recovery website. friendsinrecoverycommunities.com website. It's not up yet. It's still in the very beginnings of everything. But Skyler, we're going to have a members only page. We're going to have where you subscribe and kind of, just get a lot of good material that's going to come on there. There's going to be a donate button too, because Friends in Recovery is going to go into a different kind of way. We're going to start doing some outreach and helping people out with some recovery stuff and maybe helping them get into treatment and all that. So that's some of the good stuff that we're doing as far as Friends in Recovery goes. So I know the last show I left you guys. I was actually in a coffee house, Skyler, in Charleston, South Carolina, and I did the last show on my phone, the last show of the season, because we took off the whole month of August, and that's when I kind of started having these wheels turning, and I got some good ideas there. My one good idea was, let's get Skyler back on the show. Let's get her. She settled down a little bit. She got her things back together, and I called her a couple of days after that, and here she is. She's back on the show, our first show of the new season. And here's the cool part of it, guys. Today is Skyler's birthday. Not her belly button birthday, but her sobriety date, her sobriety birthday. So congratulations, Skyler, and on 13 years, right?
Yeah, 13 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't even seem like it, though. Like, you ever look back on all your time and you're like,
oh yeah,
does it seem like 20 some years? Does it really seem that long ago?
No, it just seemed like yesterday, right? I know. Yeah, exactly. You feel old. So, but just to let everybody know, September 2nd is Skylers Anniversary. This show will come out a couple days later, but September 2nd is Skylers Anniversary, and it's just so cool to be celebrating it with you on a podcast today. And again, I didn't plan this. We said, let's do the podcast. And then we said, okay, let's do blah, blah, blah. And here it is. It's on the day of your birthday. So, but I'm just amazed. I'm glad you're back on the show. The Podfather misses you. We split up. Just to give everybody kind of a heads up, we split the shows up a little bit. And the Podfather is taking care of the Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. And I was doing this show. And, again, I had
that's his baby, so that's great.
Yeah, he loves that show. Yeah, so check out Answering the Call, the First Responders podcast. The Podfather's still over there, and he'll be guests once in a while too. So in this month, I also have him scheduled to do FIR from the car. So a couple weeks before, look for FIR from the car. So you might have to sit that one out while we're doing it if you're okay with that. Well, yeah. But real quick, I want to get into your story. I want to figure out how you got here and all the good steps and all the bad steps too that you had to get here. But before we do that, I want to throw out our new challenge for this month. Is not challenge, but our new contest for this month is a $50 Amazon gift card giveaway from Friends in Recovery. All I want you guys to do is email us a little note or whatever, give us your sobriety date so we can give you a shout out on the podcast, and we can get everything, kind of get going. And at the end of the month, with the thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that email us, I will have Skyler pick somebody out and from a hat, and we'll we'll send you out a $50 Amazon gift card. And that's this month.
Email in the show notes to where to email us.
Yes. Email us at help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. And again, that's in the show notes. And if I know Carl, as this is coming up, the help at Friends and Recovery podcast will be across the screen here. So, but Sky, so September 2nd and 13 years. That's an amazing accomplishment. And I am proud to know you for those 13 years. I am proud to Stacy helped you get into, my wife Stacy helped you get into Genesis House. Yep. And I mean, I didn't know you at the beginning, but I heard of this, and I'll let you tell your story, but I remember specifically, a couple cases, but I remember specifically, oh my God, this girl missed her plane. Oh my God, the whole night. I remember all this. I remember like it was day one, and now here you are. You're a huge part of our life. Work wise, we're going to be going on a camping trip this weekend. So after this, when this airs, the camping trip will be over. But your boyfriend is him and I have a good relationship. He reaches out to me, I reach out to him, and it's just because of recovery. And that's just me with you. I can't imagine what the other parts of your life are like. So instead of me babbling on, you give us a little bit about what's going on and your story, Sky.
Well, I mean, how I got here is pretty much like everyone else, and I don't mean that, like, I just mean that the feelings I had, like how I felt alone, how I isolated, how I couldn't go that long without a drink or drug in my system, like that was all rings true. I mean, our drug choices were different, maybe, but the reality is I couldn't live with drugs and I couldn't live without them. And that was really it. And I was suicidal because of it, and I had, at 11th grade, my mental health issues started coming out. I started getting on psych meds. And then I didn't know when you mix drugs and alcohol with them, that can make your psychosis, like a lot of stuff can happen that I didn't know about at age, 16 when I got on the meds, you're young and you don't know things, even when you get older, you still don't know things, but you just learn along the way, but, I think how I got here is pretty, I don't want to say standard, but, it was really the suicidal thoughts. It was going to crisis twice in 1 week. And I don't just mean like suicidal ideations, like, man, the world would be better off without me, or I just don't want to be here. It was like I was in the car and I had the attempt, I was getting ready to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so, and that always scares me because suicidal ideations have been a part of, like, I think addiction started way before the drinks or drugs. Like the first suicidal letter that my mom found was when I was 4th grade, because I was so upset about friends or something. I was hurt about something. And, she had found the letter. So from then on, it's like I had always been in therapy and different stuff. So I didn't know those things that I know now. And like, because of that, but I know that when I got here, I didn't really want to be here though, because I'd already been to treatment once. I went to treatment when I was 19 and in Florida at B-Hop, and it was I was 19, and I mean, like, I say that because I say it like that because it was like I really didn't take it serious. I had to
stop drinking at 19. Let's be serious. Like. That's when you start getting rebellious. You got your driver's license. You got right? A year or 2 into it, or 3 years into it, depending on what state you're in, and you want to just go off. Just tell everybody to go fuck themselves at that point.
So it's not even my 21st birthday yet. Legally.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you haven't even hit 21 yet. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
Exactly. But no, and the thing is too, I know I wasn't ready to, because as soon as I got off the plane, I called my boyfriend at the time. I'm like, hey, what are you guys doing? He's like, smoking a blunt at Steve's, and I'm like, I'm on my way. It was like that quick. It wasn't even a thought, And honestly, when I was in treatment, I was like passing notes with guys and stuff, like filling voids, because I wasn't serious, And even when I went to treatment the second time, when I went to Genesis House, I still passed notes and did stupid things. And I'll never forget becoming a tech, how obvious clients are with the stuff they do, because I had to get on the other side to see it. But, I did the same thing in Genesis House too. But when it came to my recovery, I didn't bend at all. Whereas in the past, like I would bend, like, for some guy that I just met, like everything I believed in for somebody I just met. And at that point I was working with Rob, and I wasn't willing to bend. And anybody I wrote notes, I would tell them the truth about it. You know what I mean? And if I didn't, my mom would, because I remember one time, one of the texts snuck me in what was it? A Red Bull or one of those things or whatever. And I told my mom, and she called Rob right up and told him. Heck and me, everybody got in trouble. So don't do that. But I was so embarrassed, of course, but at the same time, like, it made me realize it was not the right thing to do. Like, she held me accountable. And like, that's the cool thing today is like, I have people in my life that are strong enough to go against what I say and say, no, Skyler, that's not really how you're supposed to do it, and like, give me insight, but,
we know when we're doing it, it's not the right thing. We know that feeling, we know, like whatever it is, if it's a Red Bull or if it's passing a note or whatever, we know we shouldn't be doing that, but sometimes we do it anyways. We think we're going to get away with it. We might get away with it a couple times here and there, and you might just get away with the whole time. But in your heart and in our hearts and in our heads, we know that we're really not getting away with it. So,
and I think we almost do that too, where we say in our head, like, this isn't going to hurt anybody else but me. You know what I mean? Like, remember me using isn't hurting anybody but me. Mm-hmm. And this is so little, it's not really going to matter. If I just steal this pair of earrings from the dollar store, it's only $1. It's not that big of a deal.
What's a note to another guy? What's a note to a guy? Yeah, I get it.
It's only a note to a guy. Like, how's this going to hurt me? Exactly. How could this really, hurt my daddy issues that he clearly doesn't know about that I do? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's the kind of stuff you don't realize. Your self-esteem, or how about when they break up with you and you have no coping tools to get through a breakup? Yeah. Like, but that's the scary stuff.
Let's talk about a note real quick. And I know it's your birthday, but I want to break this down. If you think about it, a note real quick, you're taking the focus off yourself. And I'm sure that note wasn't saying, hey, cool share. It was probably not that. It was, hey, let's go have a cigarette out. You're kind of taking yourself out of it, and you're because you have no self-esteem. I mean, I had no self-esteem. I remember I was in St. Clair's detox and treatment. It was a treatment center back at the time. And I remember the girl across the hall, I was always talking to her. I was always, therapist like, no, don't talk to her. And, of course I was trying to sneak in a room and all that, and, all the bullshit stuff. But that's really taking the focus off of ourselves and not, we know that now. I mean, as we grow in recovery, and you're 13 years later, you understand that now. And we still do dumb shit once in a while, but the dumb shit is, we stay in it this long, not this long anymore. You know what I mean? So,
and you know what else too I think about is that I think that I was open-minded to hear what Rob had to say, but not to the point, like, how do I explain? Like, I think I'm such a people pleaser. Sometimes when I hear feedback, sometimes I would just do it because they're asking me to do it to please them. But when I would get Rob's feedback on a relationship, I would be honest. If I was dating somebody or writing a note, and I would be on, and if he gave me feedback, I didn't just go, he just doesn't want me to have a boyfriend, or, or I didn't just go, well, he's just jealous, or making this up. Or I was like, well, let me think about this. Let me step back. And I had an open mind to what he was saying, just to even consider it. And that's huge, because we have to be open-minded to consider getting clean and work the steps. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I
trusted him.
Exactly. Well, first of all, Rob is our therapist, was your therapist, and still is a therapist at Genesis House. One of our top-notch therapists. He's been there 18 years already. But I think also, I always say, what good purpose is this going to serve me? What good, anything, drinking a bottle of water, this is going to serve me good purpose. Drinking a bottle of Coke is not going to serve me good purpose. So I don't do it, or I do it very minimally, or whatever it is. I try to think in every situation, what good purpose is this going to serve me? And that's, kind of what you were just talking about.
Yeah, exactly. So. But and I think that trusting Rob was another huge thing, because like, you trust your sponsor, so it's like what he says, you believe. You don't just think he's just trying to like have ill intentions, or he's just trying to get a buck out of you or use you for a ride. Like, you just trust him. So what he's saying, you're not just like, you're actually taking heed to it to say, well, does this make sense? And and a lot of times it did. So the evidence had shown me what he had told me has thus far made a lot of sense and hasn't been a lie. So what can we do with facts? We have to look at them. You know what I mean? Like, the facts of me using, they weren't looking well either, and the facts of the ways I had tried to get clean weren't good either. Cause I had so many relapses at that point, like relapsed to IOP and met some guy, and I thought we were going to stay clean together. Then I thought I was just going to do the Budweiser maintenance. I would just drink 6 ounces or 8 ounces because they stay cold longer. So it's just, it's not as big as a beer. And I would just do the weed maintenance. All these different things I tried. You know what I mean? But by this time I was at this point broken, and I saw the pain in I saw what it was doing to my mom. And I know it's hard because at the time I don't think I realized it. But looking back then, I remember just seeing her pain. And it scared me because the pain I saw in her, it was very similar to the same pain I saw in her when her and my dad were like had domestic violence. Like it was like that same scary feeling of like my daughter might die, like that fear of her face was filled with fear, you know what I mean? That's what it was. And you know, and thank God too, because I was suicidal, and I have a 9-year-old, and if he ever comes to those, like, you know what I mean, like I could never think about losing my son, you know what I mean, especially him doing it himself.
Yeah. Isn't it funny that we hurt the ones that are close to us because we know how to manipulate them? We know how to get into their psyche. We know how to kind of do whatever it takes to get whatever it takes for us to get what we need. You know what I mean? And the low hanging fruit is always the target, you know, even in sobriety, sometimes, you know, I'll pick off the low hanging fruit. They love the, you know, again, and I don't mean it. I correct myself. I make amends quickly and I move through it. But, you know, years and years ago, like you said, you know, I hurt my mom. You know, my mom was the person who I went to, and I hurt, and we don't realize that too, you know, when we're in the throes of it. And, you know, and your mom is such a great person. Oh my God. I just love your mom. So.
And it's huge that we're at least willing to try to, you know what I mean? Because like, you know, I went to treatment the first time, but that was when I was 19. This is now when I'm almost 24 when I went to Genesis' house. So there had been a few years there, and the family knew that I wasn't, like, I didn't really stop, but what could they do? I wasn't willing to go back, and they were going to argue and debate it with me. The only person that would was my mom, and the only authority she had to do that was because I lived with her. Yeah. So, you know what I mean? It's like, at that point, what could they do? You know, they had to wait till shit hit the fan and Skyler got ready, you know, or at least willing, you know?
Yeah. So and that's true. What could they do? I mean, because here's the thing, we conditioned them our whole lives to be this whipping post, you know, and, you know, but there's at one point that they either want us out or they want us to change. And sometimes we don't change with them, and we take our own path, and we end up going down a crazy path, or take that path of recovery. There's always those two paths that we can take, the shitty path or the good path. And you kind of chose at 24 to take that good path, and, you know, and boom, and the rest is history. September 2nd, you know.
And you know, it's crazy. I always think about in your story how like you wanted your wife back so much. And I remember thinking, I had lost my boyfriend in 5 years. He told me 3 times, you keep using, I'm going to leave. And I always tell people, when people give you those threats, don't always doubt them. Because, you know, like as an addict, I've doubted it. I doubted it to the T, and I was like, he'll never leave me. Like, I'm Skyler Noon, you know what I mean? And like, you think like that, just like, that'll never be me that overdoses. That same mentality. It's like an ego thing, right? And when he left, I was like, oh, I couldn't believe it. Like, you know what I mean? And they really do mean these things. And I'm like, wow. So like, I kind of was working towards getting him back, but I didn't know that, like, in my head, that's what I thought, you know, like I wanted him back. And I remember to Rob trying to say to him, like, well, how do I make sense of this? You know? And he's like, well, you just don't, you just keep going, you know? And that's all I did, keep going. And I remember my brother saying, it takes about half the time you're with the person. So I'm like, all right, well, if I was with them 5 years, I got 2.5 years to at least give this a try. You know what? It really did turn out. And I don't mean over them, like you can't stop thinking about them, but I mean like really out of your system, like about half the time. That's what it was, you know, like, because by that 2.5 years, I had done step work on it. I had done therapy with it. I had healed, you know, because the abandonment issues come up. So it's not always just him. It's what comes from him leaving me, you know?
Exactly.
So,
the boyfriend could be insert boyfriend, insert girlfriend, insert wife. Here it's the act of somebody abandoning us, somebody leaving us, somebody not wanting, you know, because the problem with that, Sky, is that we put all our self-worth into somebody else and not into ourselves. So here, take all my self-worth, Mr. Wife or Mrs. Husband or whatever, or Mr. whatever it is. And you know, give me my identity. And that's bullshit. I'm you know, I'm Ed Chancho. I'm Jersey Ed. Nobody's my real name, but but at that point, I never had an identity, and that's why I wanted my wife back, because I wanted my identity back. But what the program taught me was, you have your own identity. You will build an Ed Chancho or Jersey Ed. You will build that person. That's what it did for you, because and I always say this, like when I hear somebody's story, I can't fucking believe that's somebody, like your story. I can't fucking believe that you would do something half-ass, or you would, I can't believe you would fucking hurt your mom. I mean, that is just beyond my realm, is because I know the relationship that you have with your mom, but we all did it. And there's people out there doing it now, and there's people listening doing it right now. And once we give in, and once we kind of succumb to this program and follow the program and work the steps, we don't do it as much. Do we do it sometimes? Yeah, of course, but we don't.
And it takes time. Like the healing relationships takes time, because my and mom's relationship didn't, like the last few years, I would say, honestly, it's since I started working with Genesis House again, like from home, doing a different type of work, feeling confident at my job, feeling like appreciated at my job, like that really has changed a lot of my relationship with my mom, because I'm not having that exterior stress. And over those years, like we've really built, the last 3-4 years, we've really gotten a lot closer. And it's through amends, it's through time. But I think a lot of it too is surrendering and realizing I'm a lot like her. So like, chill out, Skyler. Stop trying to argue with this woman about everything who does the same thing as you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like why are we still trying to debate this,
Well, surrendering is winning. And that's, and if you try to fight somebody or fight the system or fight whatever, you're really not winning. I mean, you think you're going to be the winner. No, you're not. You have to. And surrendering is not losing. That's the weirdest thing I've ever heard, but surrendering is winning, because what happens is people start agreeing with you when you stop disagreeing with them. That's the fucking weirdest thing, but it's true. It's true. So once you get that and get that going, that's when healing happens, and that's when healing happens. So what happened on September 2nd? That day.
September 2nd, I went to a treatment center up here in Pennsylvania, Bowling Green, and I went there, and I had like insurance. We were paying Cobra, like I had insurance. We were paying for it every month, but it covered 7 days, and that was it. And then they checked me out. And that's because the way that, like I think the way that the northern treatment centers are, I don't know, they were like, go down south. And I'm like, okay. So I got a hold of Stacy, and by that time the insurance wouldn't cover anymore. So it was like, what do we do? And my mom called Stacy, and then they called, everybody down at Genesis and tried to work something out. They worked with my mom on the price. Like they really helped her a lot. And I was there 67 days as a cash pay. Wow. When I hit 7 years clean is when my mom finally paid off that credit card.
Oh my God.
Because you had to put the Cobra on there, and then Genesis, like there was a lot, lights, different stuff. So it all adds up. My food, because who's paying cigarettes and food when you get in treatment, And they're the stuff we don't, like they're the stuff I discounted. Like I thought, like I was expected. You're supposed to buy me cigarettes, Mom. But now I look back and I'm like, like, geez, like.
And that's and it's so true, because I didn't know how to do laundry. I got sober when I was 28. I didn't know how to do laundry. I didn't know how to cook a meal. I knew how to slap a sandwich together, but I didn't want to bother with any of that. That was my mother's place, or my wife's place, or whatever place at the time. And it wasn't my place. And again, throwing your identity into somebody else. You can't even make a fucking liverwurst sandwich, without asking, and again, I still kind of, I have a wife, I have kids. I identify as, but that's not who I am today. That's part of who I am, my wife and my kids, but I am a different person today. And so are you.
And you would sustain and stand up and breathe without them. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And that's what we have to realize, like, so I think I heard, so, it's like the saying, you came in alone, you're going to leave alone. And that's a good saying in the sense to realize that, like, I can't take those identities with me. I only take my identity. That's why it's so important to build that, Yeah.
Well, let's not confuse that with not needing somebody in our lives, or not wanting somebody in our lives, or wanting to be part of a partnership or a relationship. That's completely different. So when you're healthy, that it's good to get into a relationship. But when you're looking for somebody to be your identity, or suck the living life out of somebody because you don't know who the fuck you are, that is not a relationship. That's just holding somebody hostage at that point. So. And it could be not just a loved one. It could be a family member too. It could be. Not just a family member. It could be anybody. It could be anybody you're sucking the life out of.
Anybody in your life.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I did like the whole halfway thing after. That was part of my story. I did like the 6 months at one with staff that did like random tests by your apartment number, your last name or day, anytime, any place, couldn't have visitors there. It was real strict. And I stayed in Delray Beach. I'm a Jersey girl and now I'm in Delray Beach, and I'm like, this is all new to me. I learned now when I grew up in Jersey, I had a car, and I drove, never took the bus, but I go down to Florida, I have no car. Skyler learned to take the bus. And like, it was humbling. Like that sounds stupid, right? But I was 24 because I turned, and I had to have my first birthday in treatment. I turned 24 in Genesis. And then I had to learn how to take a bus. Like that sounds trivial, but like I had to get around and I had to get to, I think the Social Security office to get like a new ID to get like, like the bus pass that was cheaper.
Card, yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but and honestly, I really never learned how to read the things. I still can't do them. I would just call the 800 number and say, "This is where I need to go. What bus do I need to take?"
Yeah.
But it was experience. It was an awesome experience.
Yeah, but it gave you identity, Skyler. It gave you who you are today. It built. I always my sponsor always told me, Eddie, just take a little bit at each meeting, a little bit from each person, a little bit each situation, and build yourself. Don't ever put your whole self into somebody and become that person. I always want to be, as younger, I wanted to be a cop. I always wanted to be a fireman. I always wanted to be that, but we're growing up, when we grow up, when we're kids, we're growing up to think that way. So when we get put into reality, it's like, well, do I want to be like my dad? Do I want to be like my mom? No, I want to be just like me. I want to be who I am, and that's.
Yeah. Who did you, was your mom or dad a fireman or policeman?
No, nobody was. No.
I always said teacher or nurse, and that was my grandma and my mom. Yeah, they were both teachers. My mom was a teacher, my grandma was a nurse. So those are the two jobs I always said.
Yeah, I always wanted to be a firefighter or a cop. Did I ever tell you that? I think I told that story about the firefighters. Did I tell you that story? So I lived in Sayreville, New Jersey growing up, and I turned 18. I wanted to be a firefighter. So when I turned March 15th or March 14th or whatever it was, I think it was my birthday is the 14th, but I went and applied to the Sayreville Fire Department. I wanted to be on the fire department. So I drive there. Of course, I drank a little bit before I went. Every firefighter drinks, right? That's what you become a firefighter for, right? I mean, come on. So I'm there and I'm sitting in the office. They're interviewing me. I'm filling out the and the guy who was interviewing me goes, "Are you drinking? Were you drinking?" I'm thinking to myself, fuck, I got this job. I'm in. The guy's asking if I'm drinking. They were one of him. I said, yeah, I had a few on the way over. So thinking I'm bonding with the guy. He goes, "How'd you get here?" I said, "I drove." He goes, "Gotta be careful. I'm a police officer. I also am a volunteer firefighter, and I don't think you should be driving home." I was like, holy shit.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I had to have my mom come pick me up from the fucking firehouse that I thought I was gonna go celebrate and have a great time and get drunk at all the time. So needless to say, I ain't fucking going to some firehouse to hang out with a cop that's going to question me all the time. So I never became a firefighter. So
I get it, man. Yeah. Listen, I was in college during my active addiction for mechanical engineering. I was at a 2-year school for 5. So, and it's because I kept withdrawing and going to treatment. There was like probably 4 semesters, which is 2 of the years right there that were treatment and, different stuff. So, and it was like trying to figure out who I was. And honestly, going to treatment, I figured out like human services where I want to be, helping others. Like I didn't know that. I just knew I was good at math and science. So that's why I picked engineering. I'm like, they make a lot of money and it's math and science. But it wasn't like a calling. I didn't feel like a purpose in it, not like today.
Yeah, tell us about that. You're going to school for that, and you're kind of you got an honorary. I don't know. You got something. They
I got it. Like a social work. Yeah. So it's crazy because I went to school. I had 72 credits, no degree. An associate's at 66. I don't know how to figure that one out, but I guess it wasn't all to one major. But anyway, so I had so many credits and no degree, all this time. And I was so scared to go to a college and have it looked at. So I finally, I go to apply at Palm Beach State College when I lived down there, and they financially denied me. And I was like, man. So then I moved back home. I ended up having a kid, and that made financially a little easier. But I was so scared to do it for so long because I was scared they were going to tell me. And here's how fear works. I was so scared they were going to tell me that all those 5 years I went to school, it was a waste of time. I just don't know why. It was just like a fear, like you're a F up, you know, you wasted all that and you're still a waste. You know, that's what I was like an advisor's going to tell you this. But in my head, we create these fears, you know, and I go there and she goes, oh, we got 9 classes, then you got an associate's.
Wow.
So they were going to take all that. That's what I've been waiting and fearing up all that time.
Fearing up. I love that. Fearing up. I do that daily sometimes.
Oh my gosh.
Fearing up. Oh God. Yes. Yeah.
So I go there and 9 classes. And then, so I started small. I did 2 classes because I was working full time, 2 classes. And I've been doing 2 classes pretty much since then. I guess that was 2015 I started. And now I'm 5 classes away from having a bachelor's.
Wow. That's so crazy.
I know. And then they give me this award for social work. I work with these professors like that are part of the department at Rutgers. So I go to Rutgers. It's like I get accepted into this like awesome university, you know, and I work with these professors that are on the board, like, you know, head of the department, and they love me, and they put my name in for this like social work award. So yeah, like I won this award. That's cool. Like that to me, it really is a piece of paper, but to me, it means they picked my name and I got recognized. And like that to me is a lot because I'm not the only student they work with. You know what I mean? So that to me was like awesome.
I think it's all because of September 2nd, all this good shit happens. And
exactly.
September 2nd is the day you got clean. And when we put down a drug and a drink and a booze or whatever it is, whatever we're doing, gambling, whoring around, whatever it is, good things happen because we have a clear mind. We're thinking, I think we were speaking about, or maybe it was another show, but we were talking about like-minded people. You know, we're around like-minded people now, people who want to succeed, people want to stay sober, people who don't want to be in those positions they're in anymore. Here's the crazy part is, Skyler, I'm 27 years sober. In 27 years, I have not got one DUI, not one. Okay. And I figured out you stay sober, you don't get a DUI. It's amazing, you know, but before that, I got pulled over every other week and I was making excuses and I was trying to do this. And I can't tell you how many DUIs I got out of it just by saying my house is right there or this, but you know, I did get a few, but since I stayed sober, I never get a DUI and good shit happens, just like, you know, it's happening with you.
And you know what you made me just think of too? Because I was thinking, well, what don't I have now? You know, because you said DUI, I'm thinking, you know what, you know, towards the end of my addiction, I met this girl and she did fake scripts. She would go into a pharmacy with a fraudulent script and get it filled. And she told me I wear a baseball hat and I go in and do it, right? And I didn't know it was a federal felony, like 10 years, no big deal, right? And I did it a couple of times. And I remember I told my brother, because I'm thinking it's like not a big deal. I'm like, well, I only go in there with a fake piece of paper. You know, you just don't realize, right? And he said, Skyler, if you go to jail for that shit, I will not come and visit you. You hear me now? Yeah. And that's Kanan, the one I'm really close with.
Yeah.
You know, and he's the one that has been like the pusher. He knows I need fire lit under my ass. Like that's the type of person I am. Sometimes I'll dance around an idea for a minute, and then he's like, go. Pushes me in the pool, you know, go swim, you know, and that's Kanan for me. And you know, when he said that, I was like, wow, like couldn't believe that. And I was just like, jail. I'm not going to jail. You know what I mean? But they're like
material, you know?
Yeah.
I know.
But you know, there's cameras in there, there's all kinds of stuff. And like, you know, the thing is it was scary because that lifestyle and the things we do, we can do those things clean. And like, that's why the lifestyle is also so important to let go of too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, letting that lifestyle, crazy lifestyle. No, because it's just, you know, just behavior. So that just puts this, call yourself dry at that point. You know, if you're whoring around, if you're gambling, if you're hanging around the wrong people, if you're going to the bar to have a club soda, there's no need for that. You know, if you're an alcoholic, you don't go to a bar to have a club soda. You can go to, you know, to the Wawa and grab a club soda there. Same shit. But you have to get rid of those behaviors. And if you don't get rid of those behaviors, you may not pick up, but you ain't going to live a happy life. You know, you may not get a DUI, but you ain't going to have friends, like, you know, friends in recovery.
You're not going to feel fulfilled. Like,
you're not going to be fulfilled. Yes. Yeah.
You know, like you don't, what's your purpose? You know, like that's, to me, I feel like I'm always on this ultimate search of my purpose, you know, and I feel like I get there and then sometimes I feel like I don't, or I get like 2 steps closer to it and then I step back more, you know, but I feel like my whole mission for the last few years has been like, where do I feel like I fit in the world? And I know I fit in the rooms, you know what I mean? I know I fit in my job. I know I fit in with my family. And like, I know I fit in with these groups. So I stick there, you know what I mean? And they're like-minded people, you know, that love me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I get goosebumps even just saying that, because that to me is like all I ever wanted, you know?
I know.
And
Yeah, you always wanted to fit in, right? Like I always wanted to fit in. I always wanted to be a part of. I always tell this story. Like I grew up in Sayreville, New Jersey, like I said before, and John Bon Jovi grew up in Sayreville, New Jersey. He lived like 5 miles down the road from me, whatever it was. Well, I wasn't even in the same neighborhood, but I told everybody I knew John Bon Jovi because I wanted to fit in. Because when you tell somebody you know John Bon Jovi and you live in Sayreville, you get fucking attention. You get women who hanging around you. You get, you know, all kinds of. For you younger guys, you may not be cool right now, but when I was growing up, Bon Jovi was all the craze.
You're really living on a prayer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And let me, you know, but I really didn't know John Bon Jovi. I went to school with his brother. His brother's a couple years younger than me, and I knew him, you know, from the school I went to. But if Tony came and hit me in the head with a baseball bat now, I wouldn't even know the guy. I'll be honest with you, you know. But of course, I knew John Bon Jovi, and let me tell you, I got some drugs out of it, I got some women out of it, I got some booze out of it, I got some attention out of it, you know. But that's the wrong attention. That's the wrong attention that pulls us in, and that sets us up for all this other bullshit stuff that we do in our lives. And you, like you said before, Skyler, not feeling good about ourselves, and not getting that, you know, getting that acceptance. We're getting acceptance, but we're getting it the wrong way at that point. So
yeah, and you know, in my recovery, I've acted out and done stupid things too, and thank God I stay clean. But every time it didn't set right in my spirit, and that's when I'm like, what's going on? You know what I mean? If you are living drunk, I mean, like they're living dry, you can get out of it. Just, you know, like start taking self-awareness and you know what I mean, and reach out, you know.
Yeah.
But because I think when we get in that stage, we think like, all right, we're already in it. Might as well F it, just go drink. But we can
and I like that you brought that up, because you know, my sponsor shared his story on a meeting last night, and I heard it 1,000 times. But you know, when you hear somebody's story 1,000 times, there's always a new part. And you know, he said, and this is the cool part of the story. He's, you know, Andy, he's real. He's just a kind of down to earth guy. He said, guys, sometimes I'm a dry drunk. If it's about romance, I might be a dry drunk for 2 days. If it's about finance, I might be dry drunk for a day. If it's about whatever work, I might be a half a day, you know, but I get out of it. I don't stay in it that long anymore.
Yes. Rebound rate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we might think like, you know, not with the right mindset, but what recovery does and what this program does for me, it brings me out of it. I don't have to stay in it that long. I don't have to be that person. I'm a human being. Am I going to fall into it? Fuck yeah, it's going to happen. I'm going to fall into it, and the shit's going to hit the fan sometimes. Sometimes I'm not going to be a nice person. Sometimes I'm going to, you know, do and not work the program. But if I can keep it small and short, I don't have to, you know, I don't have to be in it as long, you know.
Yep.
So, but
yeah, and that's pretty much where I'm at today, though. Is like Carl from Sober Pod, awesome podcast. He had a Sober Pod about you know, ACOA and different things of having some clean time and not feeling fulfilled, like, you know, feel like there's still something missing, you know. And he had talked about going to this fellowship, and that's kind of where I've been. Recently I added that to my regimen, so one day a week I'm at that meeting, and that's really working a lot on emotion reaction, like my reaction to things, my rebound rate, stuff like that. So that's why I've been really more conscious of that and trying to incorporate that into my regular recovery every day, you know.
Yeah. Well, I want to give a shout out to Sober Pod. You know, those guys are always talking about us over there at Sky. And I'm sure you listen to the show, but they're always talking about, we have to send them a lobster. The last couple shows they were.
I just want to go out there and eat it with them. I want to go hang out.
I know. We'll hand deliver it to Carl and Steve and Ellen and Chelsea, but you know, those guys are a Sober Pod. You know, even the cool part of their thing is too, they have a website, and if you go to their website, there's a members only page, and you can become part. I think it's $5 a month to get all this great material that Carl puts up on the podcast. So go listen to them, guys. I mean, they really love Friends in Recovery, and they're always talking about us. And sometimes I forget to talk about them on the show, and you know, but again, that's some of the new things we're doing here. I'm gonna talk about Sober Pod, I promise. From now on, all right. So, but yeah, so Sober Pod. I listen to them religiously every week. That is my go-to podcast. And,
Yes.
you know, and they just love us over there. And their listeners love Genesis House too. You got to see some of the stuff on,
They always make me laugh too. Like I love seeing the humor in recovery. Like, and they always point it
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, Carl is hilarious, guys. Go listen to Carl. He's just an amazing guy over there. So, but Skyler, so 13 years, you did it one day at a time. You had your ups and downs. You cried, you laughed, you went through some hard times, some good times, and but you're here. You made it, and you learned from it. You know, and congratulations. Yeah, congratulations, and it's a privilege for me to be part of your life, you know, almost from the beginning, thank God, you know, from your recovery life. And I learn a lot from you, and I grow from you. And I, you know, those sunflowers in the back are up there for a reason, because that's who you are. You are a sunflower to all of us in Friends in Recovery community. You're very, very important to us. And, you know, it's always great to see you come on a meeting, and I'm glad you're back on this podcast. You know, I missed you, and I think we're going to do some good things with this new season and all of this new podcast and all this new energy here. So
right, definitely. And I'm so excited to go camping, man. Friends in Recovery Adventures. I'm so excited. I have been packing since 2 days ago. My boyfriend and my son are like so annoyed. Like they're like, let's just take this girl camping already, you know, because it's their first time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's going to be a lot of fun. So look at Friends in Recovery Adventures for the pictures.
Yes.
When you see this, we'll have a bunch of pictures up there, Friends in Recovery communities, and like us on Instagram and all that stuff. You know, just get involved with us. Again, send those emails to help@friendsandrecoverypodcast.com. Give us a sober shout out and your date, and we'll enter you into the giveaway for a $50 gift card to Amazon from Friends in Recovery. So, Sky, any closing words before we go? Anything that you want to kind of
Nike, just do it. Just get clean and sober. Nike. That's what my brother used to always say. Nike. You know, just do it.
Yeah.
We're here if you need us. Call us.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything you need. So reach out, send us an email, or call us, whatever. So, Skyler, thanks again, and looking forward to this new season with you, doing all these new shows with you, new adventures, and all that good stuff.
Definitely.
And remember, guys, stay sober.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.